shuffling after the
we
beeps.
will be.
This is
You know what?
Well, alrighty. Hey everybody, welcome to the Student Affairs live stream. With our panel today, we have some student life coordinators and a member from our Housing and Residence Life program. And we are here to answer some of your questions that you may have for us. So we'll go ahead and get started with some introductions. My name is Cody, and I am an advocate or a student life coordinator.
I am Sharon Struby. I am also a student life coordinator or student advocate.
My name is John Peppinger. I go by JP here at Neumont. I am also a student life coordinator / advocate.
I'm Emily Renda. I'm the residence life coordinator here, and I'm over the housing department.
Sweet. So with introductions out of the way, we'll go ahead. We've got a list of preset questions that we'll go ahead and answer and ask ourselves, but we're also looking for anybody who's watching to throw out some questions that you may have, and so we will like to answer those as well. So the first thing we'd like to go over is, what is a typical day at Neumont like?
Typical day at Neumont. I would say getting up fairly early. I don't think scheduling wise it's probably going to be that much different than other schools that you've been to, high schools that you've been to. So I would assume most classes start at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. So you kind of figure out when you need to get up based on that. Definitely showering. Love students that have breakfast. I think that makes for a good start to the day. And then schedule-wise, I think in general it'll be a little bit different for each student, but sometimes it's spread out throughout the day with some gaps in your schedule, and sometimes it's pretty consecutive. And so I think it depends from each student to each student. All of the freshmen will be taking the same classes, but they'll just be different sections, and that's what the time changes will kind of be like.
And I think something important to note is I do believe everyone gets an hour lunch break from 12 to 1. Usually there's no classes scheduled at that time, so you can pack your lunch, or there's lots of restaurants that are near the school that you can go and run over and get some food.
Some students, it seems like some students go home and have lunch, especially students here at the tower. I think that's one of the perks of living at the tower. Other housing facilities are close, and so oftentimes students will go home. Sometimes they don't. Just kind of depends.
Yeah. And you also see students too they'll be studying in the commons, or they'll be finding a quiet space around campus to work on homework, or sometimes you might need a little study break. So you see students engaging in different social events around campus too, and so quite the mix of studying and taking some breaks. And you also might have some evening classes or night classes as well, so campus is pretty active for a large portion of the day.
And one thing to think about, obviously you're going to have work outside of the classroom, and so setting aside time, and like Cody said, a place that you're comfortable doing that. Some students are more comfortable working on homework at home. Some students like to stay here at school. The school stays open until 9 o'clock. The Commons area is actually open 24/7. We also have a classroom that you can work in 24/7 also, that stays open for people to work on academics.
So just as a reminder for us, just to speak up a little bit, I think they might be having some trouble hearing us. So if we can speak up a little bit, that'd be great. But does anybody want to add anything else about Neumont, or kind of what a regular day looks like? Think we're good? All right.
I think we're good, Cody.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next question. What about tutoring resources available for students?
Tutoring resources, that's a great question, and we encourage all of our students to work with tutors. We call tutors academic coaches, and I think we do that because tutors has a negative connotation sometimes. Academic coaches are here to help students, and they're actually hired through the school as a paid job, And so we really encourage students to connect with those academic coaches. They'll have specific times during the day where they're available, and that'll be kind of based on those sections that you take. So if you have a class late in the evening, you'll probably have some opportunities in the afternoon to work with academic coaches. And they'll also have emails of academic coaches that they can get in touch with on weekends, at other times, but we really, really encourage people to start to ask for help, something that you probably haven't had to do much in high school or maybe at other schools that you've attended. That's something that we really try to set the tone right away with.
And what's also really cool is all the academic coaches, it's free, so you don't have to pay to work with an academic coach. They have office hours that you can go talk to an academic coach if you need to. And luckily for all the first year students, you're going to have a coach pretty much in all of your classes, especially your coding classes and your math-based classes. You're going to have somebody that you can rely on as a student and as an academic coach to provide a lot of support for any class they may have in your first quarter. And something that we really advocate as student affairs practitioners is to utilize your coaches. They're there for you, they're there for your success, and they really want to ensure that you are successful in your classes. So utilize your coaches, it's a smart move.
And I don't know if I missed it, but also all of our instructors have office hours as well, that you can go and meet with your actual instructors if you're struggling with a problem or you need to talk to them about anything that might be going in your life if you've gotten behind in class or anything like that. So.
Yeah, students really use that time for asking questions about homework or getting caught up on an assignment if they don't understand, or really just asking any follow-up questions about coursework. And professors usually post that in their syllabus, so you know exactly where your professor is going to be, in what office, and at what time. But you also can email your professors to schedule a meeting, especially adjunct professors or professors that work here part-time, as they don't necessarily have offices. So email your professors and set up some appointments. They're there for your help as well.
I think one thing to think about is that teachers are here because they want to be here and they want to help students. In the field, they could probably be making more money in the field, but they're actually here teaching at the school because they want to work with students. So definitely take advantage of that. We also have study sessions. I don't know if we mentioned that, but we'll have study sessions throughout the week in the evenings for people to come and work with coaches too. So lots and lots of support.
Yeah. Sweet. I think we can move on to the next question for sure. So this one's over clubs. And so what are activities or what kind of clubs do we have here at Neumont?
So I am the student affairs practitioner that gets to work with clubs and events and things like that. I love it, super fun. Clubs, I think we have about 10 clubs that are current right now. And probably our two newest clubs will give you a variety, give you an idea of the kind of clubs that we have. So our two newest clubs are the chess club. I don't know if you guys knew that. We have a chess club. Hopefully they'll be competing with other schools. They'll have tournaments and a ladder. And then we also have an outdoors club that just became official a few weeks ago. This quarter we went on a camping trip, and I think the outdoors club are some of those people that went on the camping trip and really decided that they were loving that kind of stuff. We also, of course, have some clubs that have to do with gaming. We have a game group called the Game Gurus. We have a test book organization, which is a national organization that puts on tournaments. So lots of gaming, but we also have a soccer club. We also have Spectrum, which is a GSA group. Lots of different clubs, and really easy to start a club if there's something that you want to get going and we don't have it here. It's pretty easy to come and start a club.
Yeah, and also with clubs as well, we have our unified student government, which is essentially like a student council. So in high school, if you're really involved with your student council or clubs along those lines, we really encourage you to be a part of our student government. First year students, we're going to have an election for senators, which will allow you to sit up as a part of our student government, so you can vote on certain initiatives for the university or for the institution, and different events that you can host for other students. And so it's a great way to get involved if you're looking for some of that student council membership.
The first week of school for all the students, not freshman orientation week, but the first week of school, we'll actually have an organization fair where you'll be able to go around in the commons and meet the different club presidents and get to know what they're doing. It's kind of a big chaotic group of people in the commons, but it's pretty fun to get to know all the things that are happening and all the leadership. Some other clubs that I want to mention, we have another national organization called the Society of Women Engineers. The last couple quarters they've been doing some incredible nonprofit work and some really neat things. But lots of different clubs doing lots of different things.
Sweet. So we have our first live question that we'll go ahead and ask. The question is, yeah, I'm excited. Are there options to take classes only in the evening? And I can go ahead and answer that one. So for the most part, your schedule is going to be preset. And so typically you will, before each quarter starts, you will get your classes and it will give you a specific time of when that class is. And so unfortunately, just being a smaller school, we don't have the freedom to have students be able to sign up for their classes just because we don't have a whole lot of classes offered per quarter and we don't have a lot of faculty teaching those classes. And so you may have some classes in the evening and you may have some classes early in the morning, and it really just depends on what classes are available and the way that the schedule is set up for each quarter.
I think in general, like we try to work with, and we can work with that with accommodations or other ways that maybe there's a situation where taking a class would be better in the morning or things like that. But in general, we kind of stick to what we have, and we trade some of the choices for small classrooms and individualized attention and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Anything else with classes in the evening? Sweet. Well, thanks for the question. We really appreciate it. We'll go ahead and go on to the next question of what are some events that happen on campus? I know we talked about clubs, but what are some different student events or some activities that students can participate in?
Yeah, obviously some of the clubs actually put on events. You know, the Outdoors Club will have events to do outdoors things, and different clubs will sponsor events. We do school-wide events though, and we try to do a variety of different things. We usually try to do some outdoor things and get students away from their computers. We do a series of events called the Unplug and Play events that we do on Thursdays, where we go to parks and go on bike rides and play Foursquare and things like that. And then in the winter and fall, this coming fall, we'll start the culinary series, where we do cooking classes that the RAs put on and make a meal. And the best thing about that is you can come and have a free meal too. Not only learn how to cook something, but get to eat too. We have coming up, I have kind of a list of things that we're doing next quarter, but with food, we're going to have a ramen cooking contest. So we'll bring a bunch of ramen and a bunch of ingredients and kind of have a cook-off, a battle. In the realm of food also, the school actually takes care of Thanksgiving for our students. A lot of our students aren't able to go back home for Thanksgiving because our break is just a couple days. And so the school, we actually take care of a big family, Neumont family Thanksgiving here, which is really cool. A lot of times we'll go to movie openings. The Justice League is opening, I think, in November. So we may rent out a theater and take all the Neumont students there. In December, which is going to be the end of next quarter, we're going to do a tubing trip. I mean, we're pretty packed with events. Obviously, October, we're going to do some scary stuff. We'll go to haunted houses. We'll have a scary game night. Week one done. We always do a week one done after the first week of the quarter. And the fall quarter is kind of legendary status now. We've been doing it for long enough. So hopefully you guys have heard about it, but we do what's called the Fall Foam Massive. And the first week of school on Wednesday, students will have a chance to come in and build their own foam weapons. And then we have a big kind of upperclassmen versus freshmen battle royale that happens at the library. And it's super fun. So it's basically a big game of capture the flag with foam weapons. And it's super, super fun. I think there's some videos online too. So if you're listening and that is intriguing, try to find those videos because it's a good time.
And some other things related to more so academics and studying. We mentioned a little bit, we have a study night every Wednesday where we allow the commons to be turned into just a study session and a study environment. And on the 4th and 9th week of the quarter, we provide grilled cheese or pancakes for those that are studying, so you get some free food there. Everybody loves free food. We also work with students about creating study groups and study sessions and project-based oriented sessions, and so try to look for other opportunities for fun, but also to get you in the mindset for some studying. So if you have ideas about how you want to get involved, we'd love for your thoughts.
I think one of the biggest things about Neumont is if something is not here that you want to have happen, whether it's an event or a club or you need more help academically, whatever it is, like work with us, and in student affairs we want to help you get that going.
Absolutely.
Because we're all about support.
Yeah. All right, so we'll go ahead and go on to our next question. We can focus on a little bit of residence life because I'm sure there's a lot of you that might have some questions about what it's like to live in student housing. And so we'll go ahead and talk about roommate conflicts. So what happens if a roommate doesn't get along with another roommate? How do we make our living environment work?
Yeah, definitely. We have everyone who comes to college as a freshman, whether it's here at Neumont or at a different university. Many of them have never lived in the same room as another person, and of course are all from different backgrounds, and so it can be a challenge to get along with each other sometimes. And part of preventing roommate conflicts is as part of our placing students in housing, we try to mitigate those concerns by pairing people that have similar hobbies, go to bed at similar times, similar levels of cleanliness. But unfortunately, with all you can do, there's always going to be some conflict that occurs when you have a bunch of people that don't know each other living together. And our first step with that is if you have a conflict with your roommate, be open and talk with them about it. Not in a defensive way, not in an accusatory way, but if someone's hurt your feelings or is doing something you don't like, be open and address it. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, definitely reach out to one of the resident advisors, because they can help you do that. They can help you build the skills to confront things, as well as if you don't feel comfortable doing it on your own, they can lead a roommate mediation where they'll come and sit down with you and all your roommates, and you can discuss all the problems going on in your apartment, and even have a roommate agreement where you'll sign and say you're going to do specific things in order to avoid those conflicts. And of course, if the conflict continues and it's not something we are able to resolve, you can definitely always talk to the RA staff or myself about possibly being relocated in housing, and we're willing to look at what openings we have and figure out a living situation that will make you feel comfortable and make you successful as a student.
Awesome. So what does the guest or policy look like for having people come visit and stay over? And what does that look like?
So we do have a guest policy, and our policy is that if you're going to bring a guest over to your apartment, especially to stay overnight, you have to have permission from all your roommates, and that needs to be an affirmative permission, whether it's verbal or written, just because we don't want people to feel uncomfortable with maybe someone staying over that they don't know very well, right? And then also we limit overnight guests up to 2 nights per week, and a week's a 7-day period. So it's a little bit different over breaks. Say, it's fall break, and it's a 3-week break. As long as your roommates are in agreement with it, you can have guests stay for longer.
Awesome, thanks. So what is something essential that I should bring with me to move into my new space?
Sure. Hopefully by now, unless you registered and paid for your housing late, you've received a handy-dandy orientation packet. And I believe in the back of this, there is a packing list. Beautiful. It even has little check marks for you to check them off. This packing list includes all the things that we feel like you should bring, or talk to your roommates that you've received contact information about who's going to bring, if it's something bigger, like maybe laundry, detergent if you guys want to share, or if everyone wants to have individual, or cleaning supplies if someone wants to get a room and someone else wants to get them off.
What about pets? Can I bring my dog? Can I bring my ferret? My pet rock?
So we do not allow any pets in housing. If you have any questions or concerns about that, you're welcome to reach out to me via email, residencelife@neumont.edu.
Cool.
What about pet rocks?
What about pet rocks?
Pet rocks are okay as long as their faces are happy and not sad.
Okay, so only happy pet rocks are allowed. Perfect. I think something else really important to remember to bring with you is your Raspberry Pi that you should have received in the mail. Those are going to become very important for your freshman orientation week and for your freshman seminar class and for some of your introductory classes. So be sure to pack your Raspberry Pi, or really any other type of pie. I think we're all fans of pie.
Come to share.
Come to share, yes. Please share some of your pie.
I think it's also important to remember to bring something from home, and something to be able to make this space yours in housing. If you don't want to bring a whole bunch of stuff, but something maybe important to you, maybe pictures of family and friends, something that you can help decorate your space with and make it your own. I think that really helps with making Neumont feel familiar and a place where you can come and relax and enjoy being here.
Yeah.
So,
That's good. That's a good point. You want to make the space yours. You want to feel comfortable. You want it to feel like home. And whether that be posters or pictures of family and friends or some things that remind you of home, we really encourage you to bring those things, because you're going to be here for 3 years, and we want you to feel welcome and feel safe and be happy in the space that you're living in. And we encourage you to decorate the space as you wish. Sweet. So what if mom and dad want to send me a care package, or grandma wants to send me a birthday card? How do I get those packages or those pieces of mail?
Sure, definitely. So each of our facilities, each apartment has their own mailbox. We do have at one of our facilities Elevate that has package lockers. So if you receive a bigger package, it will go in the package locker, and then a code will be sent to me, and I will forward you that code so you can enter the code and receive your package. Here in the tower, everyone has mailboxes, but they're a little bit smaller, so if you receive a package, it will be with Terry at the front desk. You can get it from her.
Cool. So you just go talk to Terry and she'll get it for you?
I believe so.
Sweet. Yeah. Awesome. Well, why don't we focus one more question on housing, and we can transition into something else. So, what does housework usually look like for roommates with different chores and responsibilities? How does that typically work?
Sure. That kind of looks a little bit different in each apartment, and it depends on the people living in the apartment. Some apartments like to split up the chores weekly. So say Johnny gets the kitchen this week, and next week they get the living room. Some roommates like to agree and say we'll all clean up after our own mess, and kind of separate it out that way. So I think it's important when you get here and you meet with your roommates that as part of that first week, you sit down as an apartment and decide, hey, how do we want to do this? And maybe come up with a cleaning schedule or a roommate agreement on how you want to keep the apartment clean. We We also have health and safety inspections that are twice a quarter. Usually it's the 3rd and the 7th week of the quarter. And that's where residence life staff, typically our RAs, come into the apartment and check that everything's at our cleaning standards, which are emailed out to you beforehand so you know what's expected. And as part of that, it's not a punitive measure if you fail the health and safety inspection or if you don't pass. It's mostly just to make sure everyone is in a comfortable, healthy, safe living environment. And so if you don't pass the health and safety inspection, the first time we have a little seminar where we make sure you're aware of how to clean properly. So.
Perfect.
I think that in general, the students come from lots of different areas of the country and different family structures. And so just kind of building on what Emily said, I think it's just really important that you communicate with your roommates. And I think not just communication with teachers, with coaches, with student affairs, but I think most of the times that we deal with students and we're trying to help them, we ask them if they've talked to their roommate about this, or did you guys set up a plan beforehand? And a lot of times that hasn't happened. And so I would just encourage you guys to be open to communication, things that you think, you know, if I have Captain Crunch in the cupboard and I know at home that nobody eats that because I'm the only one that eats Captain Crunch, and somebody takes my Captain Crunch, I'm going to be mad. So I need to communicate that beforehand, like what our plan is with food. I love Captain Crunch.
Yeah, especially the berries. Those are the best nice berries.
My favorite's without the berries.
We'll have a conversation. I wanted to quickly go back to what we defined as essentials, just to make it a little bit clear on what we would say would be something essential. And I would say, just as a reminder, that we do live in the downtown area, so there are plenty of grocery stores and different retailers for you to go to in case you do forget something at home. Something I would define as an essential is just something you can't buy from the store. So whether that be photos or some of those mementos that remind you of home, I would really make sure to pack those. But in terms of some other things that would just make your life easier so you don't have to go rebuy, would just be some certain clothing. So our summers here can get pretty warm, so I would make sure that you bring plenty of shorts and some lighter t-shirts. That way you can not sweat a whole lot during the summer. And during the winter it does get pretty cold. We do get a lot of snow here, so I would make sure that you bring plenty of warm clothes, especially if you're going to commute from your apartment to school. Make sure you have snow boots and a good jacket, and just make sure that you're not too cold when you're walking to class or walking home. Some other things to maybe think about would be some sheets and pillows, things of that sort, so you're not having to buy those again. All of our students receive a long twin, correct, for their bed?
A regular size twin,
Okay.
unless you requested to have an extra long twin.
Perfect. So that would be good for your sheets, so a standard twin size bed. And just remembering any medicines that you might need. So if I would also recommend getting established with a pharmacy here as well in case you do need some doctor medications, but generic stuff you'll be able to find. We live close to a pharmacy, so you can go get your Tylenol, allergy medicine, things of that sort. And then just kind of the electronics that you like, so whether that be your headphones or certain video games, or make sure you bring your phone so you can contact home. So I would say those are kind of the essentials that we would describe as. Anything else that you would add to maybe some
I would
essentials?
say essentials also being things like being able to cook a meal, have a few meals that you can cook, also comfortable, doing your laundry, all of those things that we don't really think about, but when you get here, it'll hit pretty hard if you're not ready for that. We work with students and help them with things like that, and that's definitely on the radar, but the more that you can do to help that situation and be ready to go, the more beneficial it will be. I would also say your sleep schedule, all of those things, don't let your sleep schedule get too out of whack. I know that I talked to some students today that most of their friends have left for school, and they're just kind of waiting, the few weeks that we have until school. And so I think it's probably hard for you guys to not get into bad habits, but now is really the time to start working on that and trying to get into cruise control so you can be here and be successful.
So I also know I mentioned video games as an essential, but I also like to challenge you and to maybe leave some of those video games at home. I know that's a hard thought to think about, but there's going to be tons of things to do here that are not necessarily video game oriented, and so maybe the first couple quarters, maybe try something new and try getting involved with some different clubs and different activities, and see how school treats you for the first couple quarters, and then maybe you can bring your Game Boy or your consoles or things of that sort. Well, looks like we're kind of getting close to the end of time, but I do want to talk about Salt Lake City a little bit, about what living in the city is like. And so I think maybe a good question to ask is what transportation looks like between getting to school and getting to home or some other shops or grocery stores.
Yeah, so 3 of our facilities are located right across the street from a very large grocery store, as well as right next to a track station, and there's a bus that picks you up right in front of the complexes and drops you off right in front of the school. You can also walk. It's about a 25-minute walk if you have short legs like me, or lots of our students use bikes. Our other facility here in the tower, there's a Harmon's that's just maybe less than
block or two, yeah.
a block away. That's right there as well, and you go down the elevator to go to class, or the stairs if you want to get some steps in. Our other 2 facilities are also near a couple of grocery stores, and there's a track station that picks you up right by the complex and drops you off right in front of school. And as part of your tuition, everyone gets a UTA pass. And so all the public transportation is absolutely free. So those buses and track stations that I mentioned, you can just scan your pass and you get right on for free. So.
Yeah, Salt Lake has great public transportation, and we'll have some events your freshman orientation week to get you used to using tracks too.
Yeah. And luckily for the school, there's lots of places to eat, so you don't have to walk too terribly far, as well as our housing facilities. That's really the beauty of living downtown, is there's just a lot of different options for you to do for food, for shopping, for entertainment. We live right down in the heart of the city, and so it's really convenient for all of our students to get involved outside of school as well. Well, if nobody has anything else to add, I think that wraps up all of our time together. So we appreciate you joining us today. Thank you for your questions, and we're really excited to see you all in just a month. So be sure to pack everything, reach out to us if you have any questions, and we will see you in September. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.